Give me a few seconds to share this link, and then we'll get started, as I see that none of my notifications went out. Gotta love it when you don't get none of your links posted out. There might be some background noise today. It seems to be everybody's in the mood to be arguing about things over here today. All right. 2 more links and I'll be done. You know, guys, this is the importance of, it's time consuming, but it's very important, you know, to be on multiple platforms, just not, you know, the main 3. You know, because it seems more and more that they're doing things, and I'm going to show you a few things today as well, especially when we're going to be, you know, talking about Facebook. You know, and this is why this is titled the way it is: the true power of we the people. This is how much power we have. This is how much power our voices have. Facebook and basically Mark Zuckerberg loses 15 billion in 5 minutes. How low will it go? Facebook's death spiral, stock 20%. This is all on the Drudge, guys. You can find it. Look at the articles. In fact, I'm just going to pop the link into the chat. You know, and I personally, I think this has been long overdue. You know, we've had plenty of people start saying delete Facebook, sharing the link, sharing people's videos when they're talking about these things. That's how much power you guys have. The mass exodus from Facebook, which has contributed to some of the huge loss in stocks. You know, it's time that these platforms get the point. That there's so many other ones out there. I mean, we have the minds.com, and I'll walk you through a few. Gab, even though we know Gab has censored somebody in the past because they were forced to by their hosting provider. So, I mean, that's why I said, and I use that as a perfect example for young startups. If you're going to promote free speech, make sure the first investment you make is your own servers, because if not, you're going to be relying on a hosting provider until you build your capital to get your first server, which is not cheap, starting off right at 10K. And that's not even really an accurate quote, because it's 10K for the server. You have to have people there monitoring constantly, there for maintenance of the server 24/7. There's some legal contracts and stuff you got to go through. But, you know, that's the thing. Even these hosting providers, they'd get the point if they start seeing people just boycotting them. Or when this stuff happens, you know, we the people start voicing it, pointing it out. You know, There's no place on any of these platforms for the manipulations, the shadow bannings, the labeling as unsafe, the blatant disrespect to people's free speech. There's no place for it. And I do highly suggest for those of us on YouTube. In fact, let me just screen share this because there's several things I want you guys to see. And no, I don't want you guys to see my ugly mug today. Just saying. But we'll open up a new tab here. You guys that have YouTube accounts that post videos, you guys are going to want to check out this update from Susan. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name, because I will get it wrong. But the CEO, Susan, just shared her latest update outlining progress on 5 creator priorities of 2018. It is a good read, guys. And I'd like to point out section 2 and section 4. Pay close attention to it. In fact, we'll just go right to it. You know, it's good to stay up to date and follow these blogs here on YouTube. I mean, channel memberships. Viewers pay a monthly recurring fee of $4.99 to get unique badges, new emojis, member-only posts in the community tab, and access to unique custom perks offered by creators such as exclusive live streams, extra videos, or shoutouts. We worked with a small group of creators to develop this service and are expanding it to eligible channels with more than 100,000 subscribers and even more creators in the coming months. This is going to be something to pay attention to. Remember the talks I've had and a few other people have mentioned what we foresee coming to YouTube. But this is definitely a good article to read. Section 4, tightening and enforcing our policies. I would suggest you guys read it. Also, so check out the links to make sure you're on top of the changes to the guidelines and policies in TOS. It is very important. You know, those are just some of the things that we do have to stay on top of. There's some of the things that was in there that we need to question as ourselves as content creators. The implications that it could mean for us. Because there is implications. Just out of curiosity, make sure my mic's working. I do understand why probably nobody got the links, because, well, they didn't go out. I should have got 3 notifications, and I didn't. But before I went live, I had already posted to the WordPress site, Blogger, Steemit, Minds, Gab, Twitter, Facebook, all the many places that I'm on. Like I said, it takes me about 20 minutes before I even go live, just getting everything, the pre-show link set up and out there so people know when I go live. That's something that I vehemently disagree with. You know, just like not getting my notifications from the people I follow. I could care less about who you want to recommend me. I want the notifications from the people I follow. Why? If I'm following them, that means I enjoy their content. I enjoy their work as a creator. This is YouTube keeps pushing the creator thing. Well, it is supposedly about the creator, and if I'm following, subscribed, I click to get notifications, then make it about the creator. Make sure their audience gets their notifications. Don't give me a notification 6 days after the fact they uploaded the video. Don't give me a note and don't give me a notification like 10 minutes after their live stream has ended that it was on for 45 minutes to an hour already. I've gotten complaints from my own followers and subscribers about that. Oh, I didn't get you've been on 45 minutes. I just now got your link. Or your show is over when I got the link. No, I mean, let's cut the crap. Because now, with what's happening to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google, every platform and every hosting provider should be on notice. Your audience, the people that your consumers, because that's what you consider us as consumers, you just create different labels and call us creators. We're a consumer of your product. We use your product. Treat us with the respect and dignity that's deserved. Treat us with and respect our rights of freedom of speech. That's all we've ever asked. Because now we have something we can point out. Now we can actually show you the true power of we the people. When we stand up, when we are united in a cause, when we keep pushing the limits to bring these very topics out. Your job is not to listen to our congressmen who are violating the very oaths that they've taken. When they tell you to censor somebody, that politician that said that should be brought up on ethics charges for violating his oath of office. Because he has no right to go against our Constitution when it comes to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. I do agree there are certain rules that need to be adhered to. Bullying, but we need to be clear on what bullying is. We need to be clear that because somebody gets triggered by something somebody says, that's not bullying. That's somebody that needs some mental health. Sorry, but that's just a fact. We're going to say stuff that triggers people all the time. Somebody's going to say something eventually that triggers me. It's my job to ask myself, why did that bother me? It's my job to take a look in the mirror. It's my job to say, well, not to sit there and watch that podcast anymore. Unsubscribe. That's my job. That's not your job to decide. Your job's to make sure all these sickos, these pedophiles, are off your channels. These people that want to shoot live streams of heinous acts, that the stream is terminated. When I say heinous, I mean violent. You know what I'm talking about. It's happened on Facebook. But at the same token, your job's not to disrupt those that are citizen journalists or journalists that are out there filming protests or filming things that may get out of hand. They're protected under the Constitution to do those things, to bring us that information. Your job is not to interpret what you deem is status quo. It is up to us, the viewers, the subscribers, the followers, the friends, to decide if the content's factual or not. This is the reason why what happened to Facebook. 15 billion. I wish it was more. Just so everybody got the point that we're done tolerating this crap. We're done tolerating the forced censorship, the shadow banning, and I want people to know the power that they have in your voices, in your actions. Simple boycotting these sites, leaving. Don't check your stuff. Check your stuff. Don't watch. Don't go in there to post a tweet for a couple days or a week. Or we just do what we did to Facebook, a mass migration out. It will hurt them. Where it hurts the most for these people, their pockets. Why? Because now the advertisers' ads aren't being seen. Just like So therefore, the advertisers are no longer happy. There is a line that you just don't cross, and that is you don't mess with people's freedom of expression, freedom of speech, their right to be themselves. In fact, you guys should be promoting more of it, wanting more of it, to get the dialogue and debate. I get it. Yes, I've seen it. I've seen some idiots out there that will just push the line as far as they can. And those are the ones that truly, when they step over their boundaries, when it's no longer expression and becomes a threat, is when action should be taken. But as long as it stays in the confines of expression, it should be left alone. It's time that a bunch of people do grow up. You know, Here's another thing that Facebook's doing. I know, granted, you guys are going to say, oh, it's just Alex Jones. Because that's usually, the conception when we talk about that idiot. Because he's pretty much, just like many people before him, a bad example. But right now, I should be getting a notification live. What they were doing for the past couple of weeks is the notification would pop up here and where the bell is, instead of off to the left where it normally pops up the video that somebody that a page I follow is live. Well, what they'd do, it'd pop up a little, those bubble quotes, Alex Jones is live. Then when you click on your notifications, it's been removed from the notifications. But bear with me a second. Let me go to my pages. I'm going to stop screen sharing. And they've done this to various people like Outlaw Morgan. I've heard some of my stuff's it's happened to the point where I don't even live stream on Facebook anymore. It's pointless when your audience isn't going to get the notifications or see it. But as you can see, he's live. And as we can see, I have no notifications of it that he's live. None. Once more, as you can see, them causing censorship. I mean, Congress used him as an example that his page needs to be taken down, and they said, he hasn't done enough to warrant his page to be taken down, but we're working on restricting his videos and stuff, taking down the videos that violate the terms of service. Which, in truth, nothing has violated their terms of service. That's the problem. And that is why this has happened. He loses 15 billion in 5 minutes. Let's check out this 100 billion route, biggest loss in history. Why do I have a feeling that's going to be Facebook? 100 billion plus route is the biggest loss in stock market history. Think about that. We shouldn't have to think about that. Facebook needs to start thinking about that. The investors of it, the ones that the other half. Maybe it's time for a change. Maybe it's time that Mark Zuckerberg be removed as their CEO. Of course, he's not going to care. He's made his millions. He'll let Facebook die or just sell it out, sell it, sell it out. Now that he's realized his days are truly numbered. But that's the power of we the people. That's the power of all of you guys that have massed left, that have posted the hashtags delete Facebook. That's the movement that you guys started. And it worked. And it needs to be pointed out. It needs to be shown. It needs to be, more people need to start talking about it, because now you guys see the power you have, the power of your voices, your creations. This is how you stand up to these big corporations. What they fear the most is losing their profit. And it's time that they start listening to we the people. We, their consumer base. It's time that they tell the advertisers, if you don't like the content that somebody particularly is showing, then we don't want your money. Guess what? They'll change their tune as well when a bunch of them find that they can't put their ads on the most popular places. You see, even these big three corporations have that power. They have the power to control their advertisers' investors by saying, hey, as 1.8 billion users are logged in and watching videos and an average hour time here on YouTube. YouTube has every power to get the power to get everything in control if they just do it. They can take a page from our own books and understand that we need to change. We need to promote the freedom of speech, promote the freedom of creation and expression. Because the fact is, I call it the big three. Because it is. And it's actually the big four. It's not the big three. But we classify YouTube as part of Google because it is Google owned. It's Google controlled by Google, because if anybody that follows the TOSs, you also have to go read Google's TOSs. And then for those that monetize, on top of that, you have to deal with the AdWord TOSs, which screws pretty much everybody's first bad word used. They hear a cigarette lighter in the background. All those little things are grounds for demonetization. Basically, nobody can stream anything because you can't have a view or an opinion without fear of saying something that will get your channel demonetized. Do I like the idea of the paid membership thing? Yes, it's kind of a good idea. It gives you a different tier. It gives you a way to be more creative. I don't agree with it because I foresee it being used for exactly what it's probably intended for, and that's to push the rest of us off. If you don't pay, you don't play. That's my fear with that. I hope I'm wrong, but it's a likely clause, especially in the push with censorship. The fact is, guys, you have a voice. Now you can see the fruits of the labor of people that boycotted Facebook, left in droves. Did I leave? No. There's a reason for that because I have family that's in Brazil. They're all there. Back when Google closed down Orkut, they had nowhere else to go. And a lot of my family's older, so they don't want to be jumping around. So stay there. And here's the other reason I stay there. The bottom line is, yes, I'll deal with the censorship. The bottom line is, it's a different audience. People that follow me there, watch my stuff there when it's not being censored, is a different audience from those that follow me here on YouTube. See, this is something I learned a long time ago, back when we was on Ning platforms creating websites, social websites. Every time you move from one platform to the next, you lose a base of your audience. You lose about half your members because they don't want to keep jumping and have to relearn new platforms. They get used to the platform they're on. So then when you finally completely leave Ning and Spurts, which were kind of similar because for those that don't know the history, they were the two people that created Ning, they ended up getting in a dispute and they split ways. Well, one they took half of the coders for Ning and the other half of the coders followed the other guy to Spurts. That's why there's so much similarity between the two sites and the codings. That is kind of the nice thing about some open source software, even though they've battled the dispute over the coding prospect for years. And it's a different, completely, totally different system. But eventually we went and created our own platform, using a hosting provider, but to once we built up enough capital from building the platform and using it as a template to host other social platforms, we figured within a year's time we would be able to get and be able to afford our own hosting platform. Basically owning our own server so we could get away from all control aspects, that we'd have complete control. Unfortunately, we didn't have somebody that was good at marketing. I'm not a marketer. I'm good with creating ideas, executing them, not so much on the marketing side of things. And a lot of that was left up to me, and yeah, I failed miserably. But it wasn't a complete failure. I have all that knowledge and experience that I gained from that. That's more valuable than what we created to me. But I learned a lot of things from on the back end of things. I learned the importance of being careful who you bring into your platform, who you let have control over certain things, which a lot of these corporations, they just been hiring all these young people that are so easily triggered and don't realize that their job is to be neutral and not judge based on something that would trigger them. And that's some of the problem. It's just not the corporation. It's the people that they've hired. It goes back to what I always say. Every group, every corporation has their bad apples. It's just a fact of life. But the job of the gardener is to pick those bad apples out of the bushel so it doesn't spoil the bushel. It's like I said, there's so much to be learned from what's taken place this week. Facebook, they've got a long ways to go. And a lot of people are going to say, well, it's because of all the information that they were getting. Yes, that's part of it. But the other part of it is people are tired of the censorship. You can't just censor people because you don't like their opinions and views. It doesn't work that way. That's actually far worse than giving out my personal information, because you know what? My personal information on there is probably not completely accurate. Why? For that reason alone. I'm not going to give you my cell phone number. I'm not going to give you a number that could access my contacts. Yes, there's beautiful ways even around that system. Be Rich pointed it out and how to. In fact, let me show you guys. For those that want to get on Steemit, this is all you need to do. You need to create a Google Voice account. What this does, it allows you to, it gives you a number, a phone number, and allows you to receive text messages. As you can see, my DLive verification code, which is expired by now, but that's how I got on Steemit. I used this, see? Is your Steemit confirmation code. It's that simple, guys. Don't need your cell phones. Don't have to take the risk of, you know, them ever being able to get into your cell phones, which doesn't really matter. They do it. It happens every time you go down the highway. But it is that simple, just creating a Google Voice account that'll allow you to get on Steemit and other places that require verification numbers. You know, it's just another platform, another tool at our disposal that allows us to reach a whole different audience. I mean, I haven't been here 2 weeks and I've already got 179 followers. I've been here about 3 weeks now. But within the first week, I had 160. You know, I'm not on the cryptocurrency thing, could care less about all that. But I do realize the need for platforms like this, platforms like even Patreon. You know, most people think that because you have a Patreon account, you're making money. There's ways to set up the Patreon account, as I'll show you here in a second. That you don't charge your Patreons. Make sure I'm not freezing up. But as you can see, $0 per creation. Nothing I have on here is for Patreons only. You can set it up that way. It's not hard. The other thing I like about this, I'll show you here in a second, is the fact that I can upload just an audio format of my videos. Since most of the time I don't really do the screen sharing, I can just upload an MP3 of the videos I did. You know, software out there you can get that will render your MP4s to MP3s. And that way you have just another tool. You know, as far as DLive goes, for me, it's not the answer for many reasons, and I'm going to show you. I do like this, being able to create your own group for chats. This is a cool feature I like. So I can have members that's strictly for this channel, and I do stuff for this For this, I could strictly interact in this chat room with the live stream. It's an awesome feature. Let's go back. But the thing I don't like, and these two videos are only on DLive, guys, because they would be nailed if I put them on YouTube, just because of the way YouTube is right now. And that's not the only place there is, because like I said, I'm going to show you the drawback here to this. Once I remember how to do this. Okay. Here's the drawback to the share feature. I guess we use Facebook, it'll show it better. And one, that's the only two places you got access to. And copy and paste the link does this very same thing. Let me stop sharing so I can share this part. So you guys can see my other issue here. This is what it shows when you share your post. It doesn't show the video, doesn't show the description of the video. It just shares DLive stream on blockchain. So, you know, a lot of people are going to see that. It's like, what? And not even click it. The trick to it is you go to your Steemit account and share your Steemit one, which sucks because I know how it is. I hate being redirected because when you click on the video on the Steemit, because it also uploads it to Steemit, it brings you back to DLive to the video instead of just playing the video. You can't embed this video, nothing. That's a big, huge drawback on Steemit right now that I see that I wish they would fix. But as you guys can see, once more we're dealing with the big three. The big three has all the bells and whistles that we expect on other places, where these places, they're still in beta, they're still designing and building their platform, so they don't have all that stuff in place yet. Look at Gab, look how long it's taken them to get to where they are. They allow live streaming for premium members. And there for a while, they allowed you to upload videos. Granted, you couldn't put up long ones, but they finally increased the size limit to 500 megabytes, which means about a 2-hour video you can upload to Steemit or to Gab. Not bad. DTube, I'm having all kinds of headaches with because I can't get the snap image to upload. You know, all these places we find different problems. I mean, but still, it gives me a place to reach a different audience. And something I learned about courtesy of Pirate Radio Podcasts and the crew there is this. This is for all your content owners that have, you know, like me, don't want to lose their content if they lose their channel. Because I lose my channel, I lose all my content. Here, I can upload all my content, all my videos, photos, PDFs, and it's archived. And yet again, another platform where users can come and find my stuff. And it gives me that backup that I so need. And it gives me the embed links, which is important for WordPress and other sites. So now I don't lose this content. Now, if anything happens, I can take this embeds and replace every video I've lost on Patreon because I lost my YouTube. Something for all you content creators to look into. That's why it's so important to, when you're done with your video, getting the habit of once it processes, instantly download it to a backup drive. That way you can take it over here and upload it or be able to put it someplace. For those that pay for their WordPresses, you don't have to worry about it. My WordPress site is free, so I don't get the option to upload audio and video. You see, this is what it's all about, guys. It's about knowing how to use our tools, realizing that we might not like this platform for a reason because of what they're doing. Doesn't mean don't use it. It means realize it as a tool. But at the same point, it does come a point when is enough's going to be enough? When do we say, okay, we need to do to Twitter, to YouTube, to Minds, Gab, whatever, whoever's pulling the crap on the censorship, when do we need to do what we did to Facebook to them? When do we just need to leave it? See, now we see the power that we have. We see how we can bring about change. That's how much power you guys have in your actions and your voices. It's so important that we realize what has taken place this week. I mean, 100 billion in loss via the stock market. I knew there was something up Monday when they said they weren't going to release their report until after the bell. And this should be a very big wake-up call to people. It should be a huge wake-up call to the people at Facebook, at Twitter, Google, YouTube. You know, I know a lot of people that, like me, came from Twitch. Or some of the older groups, they actually came back when before Twitch was called Twitch and it was called Justin TV. I know a lot of people are going there. You know, I've heard a few people say, "Well, I'm not going to use Twitch because it's Amazon, and you know, they like to link Amazon to the CIA and all that crap stuff." Well, there's some truth to it. But I was around when Twitch and Amazon made that deal. I've watched the improvements take place. The deal was simple. They're going to give them, I think it was $100 million. But in the contract, Amazon would not have no say in how they ran Twitch, how Twitch ran itself. They gave full control to the people at Twitch. When it comes to Twitch, Amazon actually has no control over it. It was all written in the contract. So, you know, it's just another venue. I don't use it much because I just have a crappy internet provider, and live streaming's really not an option for me unless I'm using XSplit. And right now my XSplit, since no. It is free technically, but that might be the pirate's life for me there. If you get to my point. But, the drawback is, as it is right now, it can't be updated. And now I just can't use it. So that's why I've forced myself back to OBS, which, yeah, doesn't work on this computer. Not even using a game booster to boost my RAM. You know, that's the whole thing about this, guys. We have all these platforms out there. And yes, I know it gets confusing at times, you know, especially when you're dealing with Steam at D Live, the long passwords that you have to create because of the blockchain system and stuff. Things you have to keep memorized, especially with Steam. There's like 4 different passwords you have, and you have to know how to use them. But here's what you got. You guys need to understand. Each of those platforms is a different audience. I'm reaching new people. New people are hearing me for the first time. They'll be hearing you for the first time. That's the beauty of it. That's how we share our messages. You know, because like I know here on YouTube, I'm blocked from certain countries when I do live streams. And that's sad. But that is YouTube. And that's just the fairness of this, respecting that country's laws. But my issue is they don't respect ours. We have a constitution that gives us freedom of speech, and they don't respect it. I mean, some could argue and say, well, we don't block the content here in the United States. Well, but you don't get my notifications out when they're supposed to be. You don't. You manipulate my view counts, which I've done plenty of videos on in the past to prove that. I don't even pay attention to your analytics because they can't be trusted. Not when you say my one video has only 6 views here, but I go to the mines and it's got 3,000. I go to, what's that called? Top Buzz, and it's got 100 views and 70 clicks. Guess what? They clicked on the video. That means they watched a portion of it, which means statistically, since it's directly connected to my YouTube account and synced to my YouTube account, that should match the statistics, and it don't. Oh, those dogs. They've been at it all day. These are the things, you know, you guys need to realize. Yes, there comes a time, and that's, you know, goes back to what I said. There's a time and place for everything. Just like I stated in the last video, the time and place now for me is to be a little bit more raw and uncut. Start talking about the things that I've been wanting to talk about, but I've refrained from for a bit. You know, discussions like this. Because there is a danger doing a discussion like this, pointing out that maybe this is what we need to do to Google and YouTube and Twitter and other places that are pulling the censorship crap, because it hurts them where it hurts them the most, their wallets. There is a time and a place for that. For me, the time and place on Facebook wasn't there because of all my family that I cannot interact with anywhere else in Brazil. That's my only connection to them, to my cousins and nieces and nephews, is on Facebook. Everybody else, you know, well, you call them and stuff. Well, that works if they speak English. Half of my family don't, so I rely on translators and stuff for Portuguese because I haven't lived in Brazil since I was 10. And I've long forgotten. I know a few words, not enough to even carry a conversation on in Portuguese. But it was allowed me to connect with my cousins and stuff. My grandmother, who's in her 90s. Oh, I've just been talking about, Mark Zuckerberg losing 50 billion and basically 100 billion and routed from Facebook on the stock market. The fact that that's the power that every one of you have, Free Spirit Press News, by, you know, spreading the word, telling people, delete Facebook and all the other stuff that people has done, the mass migrations. I seen it just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, about 4 weeks ago now, on Pirate Radio podcast when they were talking about John Ford. You know, a person that's been locked up for too many years. Basically he's a political prisoner. And right after they talked about John Ford during that podcast they had on Pirate Radio, the attention that it got, the fact that it caused a newspaper to start talking about it, the fact that they started pushing to get his court case heard, because it violates even the Constitution to the right to due process, the rights to a speedy trial. We're talking about somebody that's been locked up since late 80s, early 90s, that still hasn't been convicted of a crime. And yes, I understand some of that has to do because they put him in a mental institute for mental evaluation, but how long does that take? It doesn't take 20, 30 years, right? But the power that podcast generated from people's voices that were talking about it had an effect. It had an effect that people are trying. Now he's getting a court date. Maybe finally he can get, his freedom back, justice done in this corrupt, illegal system that we have. They talk about censorship. Guys, there's so many different platforms out there. Worldly.com, granted, it's still under development, but it has so much potential, especially with the things I know that's going to be coming here in the next year or so to it, the very things that we want, that many of us are looking for. Young entrepreneurs that realize the need for this, the desire to protect our freedoms. And yes, I understand it a little bit better than maybe some of them do. The fact that it's not as easy as it sounds. Why? Been there, done that. Had to sit down in board meetings with lawyers, executives. I've had the Riot Act read to me a few times on some of my ideas and concepts of non-censorship and freedom of speech. It's about how far you can actually get and go with it. Yes, I'm very much the jack of all trades. I'm just as good on the computer and software side as I am cooking in the kitchen, which, yes, I am. And used to be a sous chef, so yes, I have very excellent cooking skills, but I'm just as good out in the garage, building things, welding, working with wood, construction, building houses from the ground up. I've have so many skills that I've taught myself and allowed myself to learn. I also have a college education for what it's worth, which Really, it's not worth much because it was in individual studies and arts, and I never finished it into the architectural and engineering side of things, which I was going for. But individual study and arts, yeah, not so much worth it. But some of the minor electives that I took along the way, yes, they've paid off in many ways. The researching stuff that I did for papers and essays and stuff on archaeology, science, you name it, I had my nose into it. And those are the things that I share here. I share my experiences, I share my views and opinions. You know, I tell you guys to do with it what you want, make of it what you want. But I'm not just talking out my ass 98% of the time. It's actually based on stuff that I've learned. 2% of the time I might be talking out my ass. It happens. You got to make things interesting. You got to make things questions, make people question things. And that's what they're trying to stop. They're trying to stop us from having that content that brings out great debates, great questions. Those debates and questioning things bring about change. That's the power of we, the people. When we start talking, when we start using our voices, we bring about change. When we can find unity in causes, we bring about great movements that can bring about great change. We don't know what's going to happen to Facebook. It's early, you know, but we do know this. We do know what happens when you start hurting people where it hurts the most, their wallets. They're going to do something. They're either going to make change that'll be for the better, or it'll be for the worse. And they'll just shut it down because why? We don't need it. We've made billions over the years. Somebody else can deal with it. That could be a good change too, by somebody new coming in that's going to respect our views and our opinions and not play this dumb censorship game. Either way, this is the shot that was fired across the bow. This is a shot that was heard, can be said that will be heard around the world because now it's a warning to other platforms. This could happen to you. This may just happen to you. You keep going down the route you're going. On Twitter, I watched the people that I follow, which was at 252, go from 252 in a matter of 24 hours to 245. Now, today it's back up to 250. Well, we know what happened there. I also watched some of the people that follow me disappeared. You know, because we know most of us that have Twitter accounts, we keep it pretty much one mindset so we're not getting all the trolls and the BS. You know, not everybody does what I do, and hey, see what you're about. So I get different opinions and views. And it does get a little hectic from time because you see the comments going back and forth. And to me, that's just good debate, even though it pushes some of the boundaries when they start threatening people. Now that shouldn't be tolerated. I agree there. There's a difference between expression and threatening. But there's also the double standard there. If I say something like they say, I will be instantly suspended and banned. There can't be a double standard. Everybody needs to be treated equally. The rules need to apply to everyone. And I do still recommend people go watch the last Judicial Committee with Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Listen to it. Yes, I know it's almost 3 hours long, but listen to it. It's educational. You'll learn a lot. And it will make you mad. On many aspects, it's going to make you mad. And it's going to make you like really look at these social platforms. It's going to make you really look at some of our senators and their blatant violation of the oath of office they took to protect and honor our Constitution. You see, our senators and congressmen and politicians, they fear our voice just as bad much. They don't like channels like this, like Dabu's, Be Rich, Free Spirit Press News, and the countless others that there's so many that I can't even name. I mean, for real, I follow over 300 people here on YouTube. That's the reason why they want to push the control and censorship of information. That's why they want to dictate what's fake news, what's real. Because they don't want us pointing out how they voted on certain things. They don't want us digging and finding some of the crimes they've committed or what company they have investments in. In a sense, we become the checks and balances to them. And they don't want that. Nobody wants their dirt aired everywhere for people to see because it means they might not get elected again. It means it might be the end of their political career. But as we, the people, that is our right. And that is our due diligence to be on top of those things. You know, it's just like dealing with mainstream media. It's time that people realize they actually have the right, if they ever use your name or target you and slander you, to sue them for defamation of character. We need to see that happen more and more. When they get caught in those lies, the people that they lied about or misquoted that information need to and have the right to take them to court. Yes, I know the legal system is broken because they'll just drag it out so long to try to bankrupt you so you drop it. And that's wrong, needs fixed. That's why I've been doing the broken systems, which I'll pick back up next week. But we have plenty of people out there, we the people, that can help make sure people like that can get the proper legal counsels, the pro bono counsels that are about the people, to help in cases like that. There's just so much that we have control over. We have so much power that I think so many people have forgotten. They've forgotten the power of their very own voice because we see it being used and manipulated in organizations and organized groups that go out there. They're being bussed in, paid to be there. And it's done intentionally. It's done to diminish people's beliefs and thoughts of their power, how much power they have. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's about the perspective. It's about what we see and what we take from it. Not what everybody else takes from it. You, your opinion, your view. That's what matters. My view and opinion does not matter because I haven't walked a day in your shoes. I haven't experienced the things you've experienced. And that's something else that we all need to realize. Because our experiences do make us who we are. We can have all the knowledge we want. We don't get the wisdom without the experience. Experimenting with things, doing things. There's where the wisdom comes from. The lessons learned from those experiences, from those failures, setbacks, successes, wins. This week, we the people, we got a great win with what happened to Facebook. And now it opens the door for other platforms to see this. And we need to change the way we're doing things. We need to chill, step back, or this will happen to us. And this is also directed out there to all you future entrepreneurs, people like Christina Taff and Worldy. Take a lesson from this. I know what her goals are and what she wants for her platform. But this is a reminder to her and to all the other ones like her out there that there is cause and effect. There is consequences to things. So use this as an example. And as far as Christina Taft goes, she's very, very much one of the people that's pushed and pushed for people to leave Facebook. Why? Because she's seen what was happening. She's tired of it. She's tired of not being able to say the things she wants. I mean, Facebook has an awesome platform. I won't sit there and say they don't. They have awesome tools that we can use. Except for when some of us use it, we get caught on the receiving end. We get censored. We get forced to either comply or leave. Thinking that that's their answer to silencing one side. No, that's not the answer. In fact, your answer backfired on you. It backfired on you on for multiple reasons. But censorship is, if not the number one issue, it was the number two issue. We know that probably the number one issue was, you just gave out everybody's information to whoever. That was the start of it. That was the crack in your foundation. Then you topple on all the stuff you've been doing with the censorship, deeming people unsafe for your platform. People like Diamond and Silk, people like me, people like Outlaw Morgan, people like Alex Jones, which I don't care for. But I also know if I don't care for him, that means don't watch. I follow him for other reasons. For sometimes they have one of those stories like the vaccine story that they did earlier this year, where they had this guy on that broke it all the way down, including how people that do manage to sue a pharmaceutical company, how the process works, the straight mock. I swear that dog don't do that to anybody else but my mom and sister. It was a straight mockery of the system. The fact that you had no rights, you didn't even go in front of a judge. You went in front of an appointed attorney general of the DOJ, who was basically the defendant of the pharmaceutical company. And you had to pay to bring your own evidence. You didn't have the right to subpoena that information. Yeah, that's how bad it was. That's why nobody can ever win a case. That's why the pharmaceutical companies never can get being held responsible unless you get lucky and get that one defendant slash prosecutor who arbitrarily hears the case and rules on the case at the same time, has a heart and believes in real justice, which we've kind of seen the mockery of our judicial system, especially on the DOJ level here of late. How bad the corruption has gotten, even in that very aspect of it. So yes, sometimes we do follow people that we don't like listening to, because every now and then there's that nugget, that golden nugget that pops up, that precious gem that just comes out of it, and you tune in and you watch it, and you learn something from it. That, my friends, is why, we need to break this cycle of following a label, following a certain group. We need to broaden our horizons, our spectrums. We need to broaden our minds, and be open to listen to everybody's opinion and views. Yes, there's some that we're just never going to agree with, and there's some we'll see them for what they are. Not everybody's I don't even like using the word. You know what word I was going to use? It's like, seems everybody wants to call people these days. Oh, you're monetizing, you're making money, you're selling merchandise, yeah, no. They have that right too. Yes, is there some people that's all they do it for? Yeah, well, guess what? Technically, they're using that platform too as a business. Do I personally agree with it? Obviously, I don't, because I don't do it. But we shouldn't judge a person based on that either. You know, I do the things I do because I love doing them. I enjoy doing them. I believe that information should be given freely without cost. After all, it's my opinion and my views. But at the same time, some people could say I'm a hypocrite because I am, working with and part part of Pirate Radio Podcast Network right now. I'm not being paid for it, but I do promote it, and I do promote the Secret Santa Fund. I understand the need for the proceeds that they try to generate, and it is important, especially when half of it goes to the Secret Santa program. That is something I really support. That's why, I'm being real cautious on some of my mine tokens that I'm building up, because I'm going to donate half of it to them come November, because it's going to something that I support. And I understand, and this is something you guys need to understand as well. Just because I do everything free and on the cheap, because I can't afford to have all these websites. I mean, believe me, if I could afford to have a website, I wouldn't use WordPress or Blogger. I'd build my own. Why? I have the software to do it. I'd go get a hosting provider, get a virtual server, and create a social platform for myself where I can upload my videos. But it costs money. It's not cheap, because the particular open source software I use requires a VP. It requires a virtual server, and those aren't cheap. Or I would have to pay somebody to design something, and I'm not going to do that. Why? I don't need to. I know how to do it myself. But that's the point, guys. It takes money. It takes money to pay for your higher end speed for your internet so you can broadcast live streams. It takes money to be able to do things, unfortunately. Not everything in this world's free. And when we do use the free stuff, well, you get what you pay for. WordPress, free? Yeah, you can lay out a cool site with ease, but you can't upload your videos. You can't upload documents, PDFs, audio files. You got to have a premium membership. Just like Gab. Gab, it's okay, but I can't live stream. And I love live streaming. I love doing this content live because I hate sitting back there and editing, listening to my own voice. Which is shocking. I even have an audience because I can't really stand my own voice. I can only imagine what you guys go through sitting here listening to me. It's a little bit better now that I've got a decent microphone system. Still not the best, but it's what I could afford, and it took me about a year to save up for it. Because I always put my needs in front of my wants, and this was a want. It's not a needed item. When the Bluetooth worked just fine. Just like the mines. The drawback for me, the mines, and this is why I'm not really on there much, because I can't upload videos. Because pretty much 15-minute videos the max, which just shoots me in the foot right there. But the Mines is also still in beta, still being developed. It has promise. The biggest promise for me that really keeps me there is the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression. Unless you're blatantly putting content up there that violates laws, you're not going to be censored. That's why I'm very careful when I do go to the mines not to be screen sharing, because yes, you're subject to see some adult content. And which, it's there. Because it's allowed. As an owner and a creator of a platform, you have that choice. My platforms did not allow it. But there's also a difference in my opinions and beliefs and views on this subject matter. Nude photos, I don't really have a problem with. And we never really censored that type. And that is a form of censorship when you say no. But we did allow it with the restriction of your site had to be private and you had to make sure that it was 18 and over. And we did closely monitor that. That way we knew younger audiences wasn't getting onto sites like that. We used to do that on Ning platform as well. I mean, that's what you deal with when we start talking about freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It's, to me, taking nude pictures and stuff, poses and stuff, cosplay and the like is, to me, art. To others, it's porn. I mean, to me, porn is basically what you find on an X-rated video or XXX, hardcore, whatever. To me, that's porn. That only has one place, and that should be on an adult platform. And under the new labels, which they don't enforce, it should be under the XXX.com, not a regular .com. See, that's something a lot of people don't know, unless you've created your own platforms and had to talk to lawyers and stuff. There's laws in place for the adult entertainment side now that was supposed to be enforced on the internet, to where all these adult platforms were supposed to transfer their domains over to a .xxx, but not enforced. So therefore, we still see all that stuff because that way you could really control from your computers what people could search. It's where if you got your parental control system set up, they can't access anything that's .xxx. And I encourage people to look into that a little bit more and understand that there are laws in place for that. I'd like to see them enforced. I don't have no problem with the adult entertainment business. I mean, I've got friends that are in it, but at the same time, I do have a problem when it reaches into the younger audience, the people that are under 18, where they have no business being watching it, and it is illegal. So, that's why I did support the fact and liked the idea of the .xxx. That way, you had a little bit of protection when you had kids around that you could put it in your system, you know, so they couldn't ever access it. But unfortunately, like all good things, good idea in theory, but in practice, they don't enforce it. But that's also the job of people like me that do these podcasts to point those things out as well. Hey, there's laws in place for this, but they're not forcing those laws and making those platforms switch their domain from .com or .whatever to .xxx. And that falls on companies like Google. It falls under the hosting providers to make sure that they're adhering to the laws that are put in place. See, even our internet system is a broken system. They create laws, but they choose how they want to enforce them or not enforce them. They choose how they want to word and classify what censorship is. But yet, we have the power, we the people have the power to voice these things. We have the power to leave such platforms. You don't like the content that's on a platform, leave. I mean, if you're going to be that judgmental. But do realize, technically, under the First Amendment, these sites are protected as well. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it. Whether you, because I see it all the time, even on Twitter. Oh, that's a Satanist. Which we know with everybody that has a different belief that it's more of an occultic or esoteric belief, they all get labeled as Satanists, and they're not. They all have different dominations. Just like Christianity, how many different dominations of Christianity do we have? Baptist, Pentecostal, Methodist, Mormon, Jehovah Witnesses, and the list goes on. Same way in the pagan community. I just prefer to use the word pagan because it encompasses them all. They're just as diverse. Not all of them are Satanist, just like not all Satanists are Luciferian. They're actually two different organizations, two different groups of people, two different belief systems. But most people don't know that. And they see that and they're like, oh, that has no place on it. Yeah, they have every right to be on there that you do. It's your responsibility. If you don't like it, block them. Or scroll on past and don't read the article. Or unfollow them. That is the responsibility of the viewer. You don't like what I say? You don't like the things I talk about? Then unsubscribe, unfollow. Remove my negativity, because that's what you're taking me as, negative influence, out of your social circle. And I don't think I come across negative. I'm not a negative person. very much a positive person. But if I'm triggering you that much, or I'm offending you that much, then remove me. That's what we should be doing to those that we just can't stand, instead of sitting there constantly reporting them or hitting the thumbs down. Don't watch their stuff. Don't read their stuff. Now, as a viewer, as we the people, we have responsibilities. Our responsibility is not to judge people, then try to get offended and try to get them removed, because then we're violating that person's constitutional rights. The very same thing that we complain about, that's happening to all of us. But when we can put that aside, and when we can come together on these common grounds, and you think it's just Christians that left Facebook? No, 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 no. It was all walks of life and all beliefs, because it happens to every group. It's just not the conservatives that it happens to. That is a misconception and a lie. The problem is most people don't get outside their circles or their groups or their niches and see it. They adhere to their label and they don't stray from it. And they don't see what's really going on. They only see a fraction of it. The only thing they see is what affects that community, that genre, that group, that label. When in fact it's happening to a wide range of people. It wasn't just the conservatives and Christians that left Facebook. It was everyone that's had their information stolen and given away. It was everyone that had their comments deleted, censored. And yes, guess what, guys? It happened even in the pagan community. It happened in the Christian community, the Buddhist communities, and so many other communities. It happened to a Ohio senator who wanted to talk about the opioid epidemic, not academic. Why? Because he wanted to point out what was happening in his state, and whoa, that went against the status quo. I mean, damn, look what happened on the 4th of July. A newspaper published something because it had independence in it. It got flagged as terrorism by Facebook. What? And they tried to blame it on the algorithms. Oh, no, 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 no. Let's not play that stupid game. Somebody had to type the word independence in that algorithm to pick that word up. So yes, there's somebody that was to blame. It wasn't the algorithm. Somebody put that in the algorithm. Goes back to what I stated earlier. You can't just hire anybody. People you bring in, they have to be able to be trusted. They have to be able to be neutral. They have to be able to look at content and be neutral and be literally look at it. Does this violate our TOS? Does this break the rules? In 98% of the cases, it does not. The only thing it violates is the person got triggered or is offended by what you're saying and doesn't agree with you. And that's something each of these corporations, guess what? YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Minds, Gab, Steam It, that's what they are. You've hired people that should not be in those positions. But unfortunately, in some of these places, it goes clear to the CEO that's has the same mindset. So when you have that, you have a lose-lose situation. The only thing you can do is do what everybody did to Facebook and hope that they make changes, that Mark Zuckerberg sees the light of his heirs and makes the proper changes. Or because he has investors and stockholders and people that are under him that have shares in the company, demand a change and a replacement for a CEO and bring in somebody else that's going to do what he refuses to do. Or it'll just fold up and be sold. Much like how MySpace is still on the market to this day. But trust assured, if he ever does sell the company, somebody will buy it because they realize how powerful Facebook is, how big it really is. It just needs fixed. And we can say the same thing for YouTube, Twitter, Google, Gap, all of them. They all need fixes. Some are not as big as the debacle we're seeing with Facebook, and some are. Some are even worse. I mean, my personal opinion between Facebook and Twitter, I can't tell you which one's worse. I still see hope for YouTube. Just because, I sit there and listen to what the lady from YouTube had to say during that judicial committee. I see what their CEO has to say. I see the CEO actually took a step back on the Wikipedia thing. Kinda. They're still using it by putting a link up under certain sites. I have a suggestion for that. Don't use outside sources. Don't use fact checker or any of them. You're going to put a link to a video. Link it to another video from another content owner, another creator who has a different opinion. Then let the people decide. I would respect that. I'd be for that. I know a lot of people won't because they don't want to lose their followers. Followers don't mean nothing. I don't buy into the numbers game. It's about having different opinions and views, hearing them, learning from them, talking about them. See, even I can come up with unpopular ideas. That would probably be very unpopular to some. But I also realize, that would get used and abused too. Somebody would find out, that person's link is in they put my link under this person's video because I have a different opinion of view, so now I'm going to go bash that channel. No, you'd have to put rules in place. See, you got to play devil's advocate with everything, weigh out the pros and cons before you do any of this. Because, like everything, there's going to be people that's going to find a loophole, find a way to abuse anything. But that's where we, the people, come in. When we see these things, it's our job to point these things out in hopes that people will see it and make the changes. Like I said, I hope that YouTube don't fully go to paid membership. But I can hope all I want. It seems to be the direction they're heading. That's why I told you guys to click on your creator studios. In fact, I'm just going to give you the direct link to it. Read the whole article. I mean, she brings up some good points. She points out some good things. And as creators on YouTube, we should stay on top of these things and follow these blogs and stuff. Stay on top of the policy updates. And question the things that we see in them, you know, and give our own feedback and suggestions. Will they listen? Don't know. I hope they do, because after all, we are the creators, we are the consumer of the products, and we just want it to be the best it can be. Just like, I can only speak for those I do know. I do know with Worldly and Christina Tapp. I know Christina Tapp takes everybody's feedback. She spends hours going through what people tell her, taking your suggestions and ideas, or fixing something that's not working right on the site. Like I said, under development, there's plenty of bugs that need worked out. Every site, it was like DLive last night, had to be went under maintenance. Every site from time to time has to be on maintenance for updates to be put in. It's even more so with newer platforms. I guess people don't. That's something a lot of you guys probably don't understand. Unless you've built and designed and created your own platform to where you have to actually do maintenance on the sites and stuff, you don't realize the hours and time that goes into it. I got to experience that firsthand, much like Christina's experiencing on her own with her development team. It's not as easy as we think it is, because we just log right in and it's up, everything's running smoothly. We don't get to see the back end of things. Maybe one day here in the near future, I'll create another site and show you how things work in the back end. I'll use the software programs, open source programs I got, and create a platform and show you exactly how much work actually goes into it, just on the back end. There's some content creators here on YouTube that actually show it, but it's not easy. I mean, it's designed where you have to have a team of people, multiple teams, to keep a platform and site running flawlessly. That's why I don't judge people when they, people like Dabu, Be Rich, and others that do ask for creator content or sponsorship or, Patreon support, because it's not cheap, guys. I mean, I had an investor backing me, and I know how much money was spent. Believe me, did I know. Because I got to hear about it when I wanted something new or wanted to do something. I had to explain why I'm spending the money for it, or why the need to spend the money for it. I was just lucky I got a good voice, kind of what this podcast is about, the power of a voice. I got a good voice and know how to articulate myself well enough. I was able to sell it to the people that were investing. Well, believe it or not, that was my first experience with it, because it was a person that I was dealing with, but he had, he had money. but he had people that was on control of his money, and they wanted to know how his money is being spent and used, which required a few board meetings, a few long conversations, and some frustration on my part because I was learning as I went. So I do understand why people do the things. I'm not going to sit there and call them that word, that stupid label that people want to label everybody about. Just like these citizen journalists, it costs money to go to places. If you're expecting them to do it and they're not being paid, they're working a job supporting their families, but you enjoy their content. I don't talk about this much. And a few bottles of, yeah, more than a few bottles of Advil. We, they need the support to be able to do those things. If you're watching them and you enjoy the content, then there's nothing wrong with supporting those channels. I don't get out and do those things. I don't go to places. Why? Because it's about knowing thyself. And I know me. The first time I seen somebody hit an old lady, yep, I'd be in jail. So I do not go to those things for that very reason. Or the first time somebody got in my face, yeah, I'd probably be in jail. So, oh, I bet you do miss doing that, 'cause I know how much you love doing that. Free Spirit Pressing is. I'm going to get to experience it. I'm getting ready to go. Believe it or not, I kind of talked about it in Pirate Radio, but I will be in Charlotte for the RNC convention in 2020. It's already been set up. I'm not going to let my best friend go there by himself. And plus, I'll be living in North Carolina after June of next year. But don't expect good quality from me, guys, because I'll be using what I have, which is a cell phone. Which means I probably won't be live streaming. I'll just be uploading things. See, I do a lot of things that I don't record and share. Like on the holidays. I don't celebrate holidays. Which is, my personal prerogatives on that. But I do things on the holidays. I like going to the soup kitchens, helping out, getting involved with Secret Santa programs, Toys for Tots, bikers that do toy drives. I support those things. Just like, most people didn't know until about a month ago how much that I support Baca. You know, even though I don't ride anymore. And no, I'm not a biker, but I did used to ride and, you know, grew up around some. I always enjoyed being able to, just get together with friends and go riding. And back in my younger days, 16, 17, we'd actually do the Toys for Tot drives and stuff. Those are the things I like doing. Like, I didn't record or the thing on Memorial Day for the veterans that was held in the town. Those are things that I enjoy. That's part of my private life. It's, maybe one day might film and share those things, but to me, I find that putting a camera in front of the vet's face sometimes a little bit disrespectful. We all have our opinions and views. I like respecting them, and I like honoring them and having good conversation with them because I have a lot of respect for all those that have served. Sometimes just having a conversation with a vet is not rewarding to you, but it's much more rewarding to that vet. Having someone to talk to, somebody that respects them and understands what are going through. That's not something that my personal opinion, I feel that should be recorded or shared. Other people have a different opinion, and I respect that. They have that gift to be able to do that and still make a person feel comfortable. Not so much, because I'm not the one comfortable with the camera in my hand. And for those that don't understand, if you're not comfortable, that radiates to that person. That person feels it, and that makes them uncomfortable. Cause and effect. But yeah, we've pretty much all set everything up for the RNC convention in Charlotte, so by then I should be well settled in back in North Carolina. And who knows, I might have some better equipment by then. But that's still ways down the road, so we'll see when it gets there. We just got the plans and things already discussed and talked about on that. It's not really my cup of tea. But it'll be an experience, a learning experience as well, so I'll get the satisfaction out of that just in itself. Experiencing something different, trying something different, and sure, I'm going to learn a lot from it. Who knows, before then I might try a couple smaller events around my area, but right now I don't not feel drawn to do that. Let's see, that's the other thing. I go by feeling. I go by feel a lot. If I feel drawn to something or to talk about something, I just come on live and do it. So that's why it's kind of hard for me to schedule anything. It's kind of something that I'm working with now, working with Pirate Radio Podcast, because it is scheduled. Certain topics like on the Tuesday Muck Around News Show. It is, topics that are picked out well before the show. So, it's something I'm learning as I go now. One, other than Free Spirit Press News, I'm not used to having somebody on as a co-host. And so it's a new experience for me being a co-host. But yet, I'm enjoying it thus far. I'm thankful for the people out there that recommended Pirate Radio Podcast to take a look at me. Truly do respect that. It means a lot. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it's a new experience, and I'm learned a lot just in, well, it's to be my second week. I'm also learning that I'm going to have to juggle 3 channels now. Well, 2. I've not done much on KOTR in about a year. I've done a couple things this month, but I also got something coming up come October for KOTR, which I will be kind of looking forward to. Finally got the permission to do that paranormal research at Gall's Woods. Finally got the park ranger to say yes. So I've got that I'm been working on for this whole year. Well, me and Free Spirit Press News have discussed that. She knows quite a little bit about that. Yeah, I finally got him to say yes. Your idea worked. Which, is going to be a learning experience too, because I've never recorded or publicly done something and shared it with people like that in a very long time. So, but don't worry, that won't be over here for those that follow this channel. I keep the two genres separate. But that's what it's about, guys. Learning new things, interacting with you guys. The things that I've learned just from Free Spirit Press News, from B Rich, Dabu, Mr. Anderson, Jaffe Ryder of Pirate Radio Podcasts Network. I've learned a lot of new things this year. See, that's the power of we the people. When we stay open-minded, we don't judge. When we interact with new people, listen to their opinions and views, their experiences, we learn from each other. And this year truly has been a blessing for Sons and Daughters of Liberty. All right, I will. I'm getting ready to wrap up anyway here in a bit. Because somehow I managed to be on for more than 2 hours again. Which is the other new experience for me. Dealing with Pirate Radio Podcast, which should help better the quality of Sons and Daughters of Liberty as I learn and experience things over there. But it's to me what draws me to these social platforms. The interaction. It's not always about what we talk about. Sometimes we learn more by interacting with the chat. Yeah, it's come a long ways. And this channel's only just a little over a year old now. And it was a learning process for me. It was in many cases, in a sense, it was getting back to some of my family roots, my views and opinions on other matters that weren't based on my spiritual beliefs and past. KOTR has always been easy for me. It secondhand nature because I live it every day. This I have gotten away from for so long. Part of my roots, family history, things that I see around the world, things that I've experienced, things that I know. But it was still a learning curve. I learned a lot from watching Free Spirit Press News, Dabu, Be Rich, Me the People's Perspective. So many people have had such a great and profound influence on my life. Sometimes you guys will see him in chat, Rob the Man. That is a personal close friend of mine, mentor, teacher, and all around been a good role model for me. But I've had so many people in my life that's been that influence. Sometimes my teacher, Rob, will say this a lot. Sometimes it doesn't look like I pay attention or I'm just don't ask questions. Sometimes you might think it goes in one ear, out the other. It don't. I've learned to just take it in, observe, watch, listen. And I've learned a lot. I've learned even from some of the early mistakes I made on this channel. And granted, and the blessing for me is to watch this channel grow organically. Meaning, I don't tell you guys to share these videos. I don't tell you guys to subscribe. Don't tell you to hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. I don't jump on people's podcasts or in their chats and advertise my channel. I've done it organically here on YouTube. It's the Sons and Daughters 17 or SDOL 1776 on Twitter. It's a completely different audience. Same way with the Sons and Daughters of Liberty on Facebook, SDO L 1776 on the Minds, Gab, all different, all with different audiences. Never invite them over. Never, the links are there. Yes, you can put them in there just so people can find me if they choose. Don't ask. Don't tell you to go look. I do it organic based, and to have 57 subscribers here on YouTube is amazing. To have 160 on Twitter in a year's time is amazing for something that's been done organically. And it's appreciated. I get to interact with my chat. I get to interact in comments with different people. And that's been the reward. Interacting with we the people. Sharing our ideas, our views, and opinions. Growing together, learning together. That's the reward. That's the blessing. This is probably what the 152nd video I've done on this channel. But I wouldn't have got to this point if it wasn't for all the people that's influenced my life, the people that I've watched and learned from. And there's too many to list and name. And I'm still making improvements and learning as I go. But I did want to take time out today and point out the true power of we the people, the true power of your voices, what you guys can bring about, because it's so important. This is what I see in those people that I mentioned. This is what I see in the people that I didn't mention. The power that they have to create and make change. And that's what's important in this day of age. It's using all the tools that we have, whether it be Facebook, Gab, Minds, Steemit, and all the various other platforms, social platforms that are out there, like Ning, Spurts. They're your tools. It's a way to spread your message, to interact with a different group of people. And it's important because through that interaction, you'll learn, you'll grow. New people will hear your message, and they'll spread it to new people that you don't even know about. Those are some of the things I knew before I did this. Why? Because before I did these podcasts, before I did even the gaming stuff on Twitch, I learned that by doing social platforms, then a magazine. I seen how it reached, how it grew. Got the interact, see the comments. That's what it's about, guys. When we see BS like the censorship and the manipulations and stuff like that, it's our job to speak up. It's our job to use our voices. Just not on these platforms, but outside in real reality in our communities. When we're standing in a line, bored, waiting to get to the cashier, strike up a conversation with the person in front of you or behind you. Or while you're just shopping. Start interacting. You have a voice. Use it. Who knows? That one person, you might say something, might change their lives. Or that one person that you might not even know might be later down the road become a future politician, a future president. future governor, future doctor, or might be take that message and spread it to their children. That's the power of your voice. That's how much power we the people have. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Sorry for rambling on in a coffee and chat. No, I'm not, but you guys come to probably expect that by now. And I will see you guys Friday. In fact, while I'm at it, before I finish, I will be co-host this Friday on podcast. And I just clicked the wrong button. Tomorrow, July 27th, episode 17, Angelo Angel Espiano returns, cast member of Spoof Radio, show host producer at Skywatchers Radio, and owner at PSN Radio. Angel Espiano returns for another visit onto the Robin Hood this week. We've got a lot of catching up to do since this is the first show we've archived back in October 2016. Listeners can expect conversation topics to include all things UFOlogy, hip hop, pop culture, professional sports podcasting, along with what it really takes to launch and manage an online alternative media network. So, guys, the show start at 11 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow. Stop on by. If you haven't subscribed, check out World Pirate Radio Podcasts. That's their YouTube channel. Or check out WPRPN.com, where you can stay up to date on the upcoming episodes and latest archive videos and blogs and other content. And I look forward to seeing you guys come join us aboard the Robin Hood as we set sail across the high digital seas. And that's where you can find me next. I'll be up in the crow's nest, just pretty much listening in, chiming in from time to time. As our captain, Jaffe Ryder, and Angel Espiano. Should be an interesting show. As for my next video, probably won't be till next week. I'm usually pretty taxed after the Friday night show, considering it's a two-part show. The first part is on Pirate Radio Podcast, and we usually do an hour after our show. That is done via Skype or Discord. That is will be uploaded later as exclusive content on their Patreon account at Pirate Radio Podcast Network on Patreon. Like I said, I'm still learning new things, learning about plugging things. So, I'm even, as we speak, making a transition into new grounds, new and unexplored territory for me. And I do want to give a special thank you and shout out to Kaser and Mr. Anderson. Wish them both the best in their up and coming adventures abroad and their safe return. And thank you for the recommendation to be part of Pirate Radio Podcast. It means a lot. And I will catch you guys on the next one, probably be Monday. You guys all have a safe weekend. Enjoy yourself and have fun.